Good.
Yeah, we were talking about your tour before we came on the air here, and I just wonder, is there a tour shape that you feel like you have to be in before you hop out on stage, or can you play yourself in shape like ball players do?
Well, I try to stay pretty close most of the time, but it's a whole different kind of shape in tour because the workouts are a lot harder. I mean, we do 2 or 3 days when we're on tour, and and the shows are pretty high energy. So, it's the breath is the main thing. It's getting your cardio back up.
Yeah, I guess, and that was my point, is that I've seen your shows. They're very high energy, and the breathing as you're singing songs and running around. Do you ever have the guys go, like you give them a sign, like, guys, cover me for a second, I catch my breath?
There's been times before shows where I said, guys, tonight I'm going to need you guys to step out front and give me a little more energy because I'm a little tired. There's been a few of those nights, but by the time we hit the stage, we're pretty ready. The biggest deal now is remembering words. That's the hardest thing because after the last 6 months or so, remembering lines to a script, and then coming back home, and now I'm in the middle of working on a new album as well, and we're going into tour production rehearsal. So remembering the words is the toughest part, but it usually comes back pretty quickly.
Do you keep a prompter at all up there?
No, I haven't got to that point yet, but by the time I get to that point, I won't be able to read it.
Your eyes have gone so bad you can't read it?
My eyes will be so bad by that time I can't read it, so I better remember them.
Tim's launching his first solo tour in 6 years, starts April 29th. 17 cities. It's been 6 years, huh?
Yeah,
since you've done a whole
solo tour. Yeah, the last tour was Faith and I for Soul to Soul for 2 years, and then COVID and 18, all the other stuff we've been doing. It's been a while.
I guess because you've been so present and you've been killing it in all these other areas, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it has been that long.
It has been. I hope it doesn't feel like that long. I hope everybody's not forgotten me. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's. There's nothing like, you've been up there on stage. There's nothing like that energy from the crowd and that instant gratification. And to me, I feel like I'm bragging a bit on my band. I feel like I have the best band in the world. So to be on stage with these great musicians and be able to play these songs that I love and recorded throughout my career, it's pretty special. And I love the whole creative part that we're starting to get into now, the stage design, the lighting design, the video design, and how it all meshes together and how it all flows together. That's something that I really enjoy doing, that creative process.
You get tickets at timmcgraw.com, obviously. What creatively, it's funny you bring that up because I feel like at this stage you've done a bit of everything at all levels. Like you've acted in massive movies and TV shows. You've done music as big as you can get. Like, what now inspires you to just continue creating?
I think just wanting to get better.
At
really,
what, though?
Well, I think the instant that you think that you can't get any better, or the instant that you think that you're like, I've got it covered, I think is probably the time to hang it up. And for me, musically, I feel like I'm just, finding great songs and still love going in the studio and recording them, still love playing live. Doing the acting I think it inspires me more creatively musically. So I think every time I do a creative project, it sort of ups the ante of what I expect from myself.
What's the hardest thing, and what's the difference, I guess, in when you do a movie, let's say when you did Sandra Bullock,
Blindside.
Blindside.
Yeah,
one of my good friends is the literal kid, S.J. Toohey. So
Oh,
I should have
great
known
kid,
that. Yes.
great kid,
I mean, now he's an adult, big head of football operations at UCF.
Sure.
But when you do
Good athlete, yeah.
that movie versus when you do a television show, what are the differences in how you have to actually perform?
Well, for one thing, there's no sort of feedback really when you're doing a movie or you're doing a TV show. Everybody's on set, you're doing the scenes, and it's not like, it's not like this big applause at the end of every scene that you do. You just do it and move on. So it's hard to know how it's gone.
Is there a difference in doing the two though, like a movie
between a movie and a series?
and how you have to act?
Well, not how you have to act. I don't think. I think the acting is just really is inspired by the writing more than anything. And the world that's created by the producers and the directors, the world that they create that puts you in it. And then you get into costume and that stuff, and it puts you right into the moment. the TV series was the hardest job I've ever had. I mean, and I grew up working on a farm, moving irrigation systems and driving tractors, and so that we did, and to be able to do it with faith was fantastic. But we spent 5 or 6 months, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, probably three hours of sleep a night, just to do this thing, and out in the elements every day. But look, it was fantastic and inspirational. I'm grateful I got to do it. I grew up riding horses, so to be on horses every day and roping and chasing bad guys, I mean, and wearing the chaps and the cowboy hat and carrying the pistols around. I mean, it was every little boy's dream, I guess, to do something like that. And I got to play a badass, so I mean, that was pretty cool.
Did it make you want to get a place and kind of live that life a little more, or the opposite?
By the end of it,
Yeah.
I was tired.
Yeah.
I was a little over it by the end of it.
Well, with all of your acting, and Lunchbox here on the show has been taking acting classes. He takes them on Zoom only, and he pays $300 a month.
And it's only on Zoom because of COVID, so we weren't meeting in person. So that's it.
Right, but still, it's still on Zoom.
Yeah, right now it is.
But do you enjoy it?
Love it.
Yeah,
It's so fun.
This is what they do. They take scripts from TV shows and just read them.
Right.
And so, do you feel like you could actually learn on Zoom? And do you feel like $300 a month to just read scripts from TV shows? Do you feel like that's pretty fair?
Yeah, I mean, look, it just depends on what you get out of it. I
Man,
guess.
he's hemming and hawing a lot.
I've never taken an acting class.
Never? That was my question.
Ever?
I've never taken an acting class, so I probably should.
You have to do those videos where they're like, okay, make us a video of you acting out a scene. Did you ever have to do that early on in your acting career?
No, because most of my videos weren't really acting involved. I mean, here's the hardest thing, I think, from making music videos to making a movie or TV series, I guess, or anything else, is being a musician and making videos, you're so attuned to looking at the camera. And the last thing you want to do when you're making a movie or doing a show is to look at the camera. So there's plenty of times where I have to force myself not to look at the camera, especially when it's right here, and then you're having to deliver a line that's just right off camera. So making sure your eyes don't just drift to the camera and you start going, hey, doing a song.
Have you ever noticed you looking at the camera, like slightly?
There's been a few times where there's been a few takes where I looked at him and said, we need to redo that because I think I looked at the camera. Yeah.
So you have an honorary doctorate, which from University of Louisiana Monroe back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Do you ever sign, or do you ever jokingly say Dr. McGraw?
No. I wouldn't dare do that. No, especially since it's honorary. I didn't put the work in.
And Lunchbox, is there something you'd like to say about this?
Yeah, it's a joke that you have an honorary doctorate.
God.
Like, it's an absolute joke.
It's an absolute joke.
Yeah,
I
there's
agree.
no way they should give that
I
to
didn't
you.
even graduate from college.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, and they give you an honorary doctorate. Like, Tim, I'm sorry, but you don't deserve that.
Okay, it's
Well,
an
it's in
honorary.
humanities,
Yes,
so,
it's
yeah.
right. He has done so much that they want to honor him. He's not he can't go and do surgery on somebody today.
I understand that.
I would try.
Again, he can't do surgery on someone today. So, did you speak when they gave you that
I
doctorate?
did. Yeah, I gave a speech.
And all those kids, they're going, why is this guy
Yeah,
up here?
no,
He didn't do it. He didn't even go to class.
Okay,
it
you
was
two
at a
stop ganging up
graduation, too.
together.
These guys, I busted my ass doing all this work, and
Exactly.
here this yahoo comes up here and giving a speech with his gown and his doctor stripes and all that stuff.
Honorary, though.
Yeah,
an
honorary.
honorary.
It's honorary, and I'm very honored and grateful that they gave that to me.
I didn't expect you two to gang up on me on that one. I'll be honest with you. Of all the scenarios there, that was not one that I had seen.
Just beat me up. Go ahead.
Before, when you talk about filming these long episodes and the elements, were you still waking up way early to work out? Even
Yeah,
though,
I mean, I
come
was
on.
probably 2:30, 3 o'clock every morning because our call time usually was about 4:15, 4:30 every morning, and then we'd shoot till 7 or so, and get home and eat, and then it was to bed. But here's the coolest thing about it, and kudos to my wife who blew me away on this show, and it's the first time we ever done any acting together. The coolest thing was to go home with your acting partner and your life partner and to lay in bed at night and talk about the scenes that you did today, especially when things went really well, and to lay there and just sort of have that sort of giddiness of having a great day's work and being able to do this and being how grateful we were at this point in our careers to be able to go do something like that, and you never know how something's going to turn out. It was great. Taylor Sheridan's a brilliant writer, and he creates these great worlds, and it was amazing to be there and amazing to be a part of it. Work with Sam Elliott. I mean, just all the great people that we got to work with, and everybody brought their A game every single day. So to constantly learn every day and to go home and discuss it with your wife, who you just did scenes with that day, was pretty special.
Amy was talking about a story where it said you and Faith like to road trip, or the story was like you drive to. Is that true? Like you will get in and just drive to California? Yeah,
we've done that 4 or 5 times, especially during COVID, which is the coolest part about it, and all the bad things with COVID. But the coolest part for us was being able to drive across country and put our mask on and go into the truck stops where nobody could recognize us and get those nasty taquitos that are rolling on the roller thing. That was like our go-to. Let's go get these taquitos because nobody can tell it's us.
I bet with the masks, you're able to go a lot of places that probably you weren't able to go before.
Yeah. I mean,
but the black cowboy hat didn't tell them it was you?
I wear that everywhere.
I assume you go to Target.
Go to Target with my black cowboy hat. Now I wear my chaps, too.
See? And the beard. You put the beard back on, the big fake beard. From
no, it was a real beard.
But the new one would have to be fake.
The new one would have to be fake, yeah, because I couldn't wait to shave that. And that was the first thing I did. I think we wrapped at like 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and the first thing I did was shave. I couldn't wait to get rid of it. And anybody that, like you guys have seen, anybody that see me when I have a regular beard knows that my beard is gray. I mean, it's pretty much solid gray. So the hardest part about dealing with that the whole time was keeping it dyed so it matched and continuation for every scene. So that was a constant work.
Tim McGraw is here. We're talking about the tour, and I hope you guys go. It's all over. It starts April 29th. Russell Dickerson, one of our good buddies, is out on with you. Alexandra Kay and Brandon Davis. And it's been 6 years since he's done a solo tour. Tickets at timmcgraw.com. I wonder, because I've been lucky enough to be near when you're about to start a show. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, and I'll give a terrible analogy, when I played football, the few minutes before, the 20 minutes before, you listen to music, you're trying to get in the zone, you're getting pumped up. You don't want a lot of things stimulating you except for what the goal. Like, you are getting fired up.
Yeah, that's not a terrible analogy, because that's the exact same analogy I use when I'm talking about it. It's like being in the locker room before a game. You sort of find that zone, and I love to pace before I go on stage, and I sort of get that 10,000-yard stare and just sort of find that zone and you're looking for that guy.
Do you stretch?
You go out there.
Well, you stretch.
Yeah, I stretch a lot before I go out, because usually we've had a pretty hard workout during the day, so I got to stretch it all out, because things don't operate the same way they used to if you don't stretch.
If you're in boots, you ever slip?
Knock on wood.
Yeah, terrible question. Just don't even answer. Just don't even answer the question.
Once or twice in my career, I've taken a fall, but rarely. Thank God.
The new single, 7500 OBO. Is a great song, and I think it represents a lot of like how I grew up, and the small town that I grew up in, and a lot of the values. Eddie and I were going to a birthday party. We went to a birthday party. One of our friends, a songwriter, and I think one of the people that wrote the song, one of the girls, was like, "Hey, I got this new song. Tim just cut it." And we were like, "Oh, I wonder if this will ever be a single." It was so, and she played it, and we were all like, "Oh, it's such a good song."
Yeah.
And then here it is, and it's just doing so well. Like, what drew you to this song?
Well, at first, I loved the song right off the bat because it just sounded so different, and the phrasing was so different for me. It was something different than I'd done, so I liked it. But there was a moment where I wasn't sure that I would cut it because it name-checked my songs. So I thought, all right, is that cool for me to do a song that name-checks my songs? But it was such a different song and such a cool song and such a good vibe that we had to give it a shot in the studio. And when we went in and cut it, Byron and I sort of looked at each other because it blew up in the studio when we were recording. We sort of looked at each other and said, and Here on Earth was probably my favorite album I've ever made. And there were a lot of great songs on that album. So for this one to sort of stand up and raise its hand and say this one needs to be heard, I'm so happy that it got on the radio and is getting played, because it is different and it is. I like the sound of it. It's pretty cool. And secondly, when we shot the video, I got to do it with my baby daughter, Audrey, who played the lead role in it. So that made it even extra special. 2
final questions for you. My first one is, we've talked a lot about your successes, but was there a moment in your career that you look back at that was a massive failure and you go, I'm really glad that happened because I learned a lot from it that allowed a lot of those successes.
Well, you always learn more from your failures than you do your successes. And, I certainly have had my moments where I wasn't the best person I could be or the best artist I could be. I've had those moments for sure. But the biggest massive failure and embarrassment that I had was at the Grammy Cares one year. Bruce Springsteen, who's a friend of mine and one of my favorite people in the world, asked Faith and I to do Tougher Than the Rest together for the honor of honoring him at the thing. And all these huge artists were there. I mean, Neil Young, Sting, you name it, they were all there performing Springsteen songs. And anybody that knows Springsteen, it's so hard to cover his songs because a lot of them are so left-footed and wordy and all that kind of stuff. So we're sitting at his table, and he goes, at the end, I'm getting up and doing, what's that song? Anyway, we got up, and I said, sure, we'll get up and sing. So we're all on stage. All these artists are on stage, and it was one of those songs where everybody knows the first verse and knows the chorus, but nobody ever really knows the second verse. So we're standing there, and he turns around and says, hey, Black Hat, come sing the second verse. And I'm like, I can pull this off. And I go up, and I just a total fail. I couldn't find the phrasing. I didn't know the words. It was terrible, and I was so embarrassed. It was one of those nights, I've just ruined my career. Luckily, because it aired, I got to go back and fix it, and they were able to cut away, and so it didn't look like I forgot the words. But it was one of those things. I can't do it in front of everybody, but Faith was standing beside me, and I got up and tried to sing it, and when I stepped back, she did like a little bit of a sidestep away from me. I
don't know that guy. That's funny.
Oh, no.
My final question is, with all of the massive recording success that you've had of all the songs, was there ever one of your massive songs you almost did not record because you're like, I don't know if this is it, and then you did because somebody else was like, Tim, this is a great song, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's a massive hit.
I like it. I love it. It was one of those things, but only because I love the song, but only because I had Indian Outlaw not too long before that, and I thought, I just don't want to be this guy that sings all these novelty songs. And to me, I thought it was sort of a novelty song at the beginning. Now I really love it and love the record we made on it. But yeah, I almost didn't cut it because I just didn't want to become that guy that does those kind of songs all the time. So luckily, we had a bunch of other great songs around it, and that's still a great song. So I'm glad I recorded it because it's become one of my certainly on stage, one of my biggest songs.
Also, you guys got to check out Tim's TikTok because, I don't know, whoever you're working with on TikTok and you guys are coming up with these ideas, it's just, you're killing it.
Oh, thank you.
In a quick amount of time, too. Like how you guys do your duets and, how you perform in the living room, put up the work. Your team's really good at
Yeah, I've got a great
team.
They if it was left up to me, because I'm very technically challenged and really don't know a whole lot about that kind of stuff. So my team really puts together great programs for me to do. And then we'll sit down and discuss it and go through certain ideas and nix some, and then some we'll make bigger because we like them.
You guys go to timmcgraw.com, get tickets. The tour starts later this month. My final question that I didn't tell you I was going to ask. My final question is, what's the one song? If someone didn't know who Tim McGraw was, and you're like, you can only play them one song to kind of show who you are. It's only one. It's hard to do. What is it?
Wow, that's tough. That's really tough. Man, Humble and Kind's always been one of my favorites. I love that record. I love what it says. I love the emotionality to it. But more importantly, I love the universalism of it.
There he is, Dr. Tim McGraw, here with us today. Tim, good to see you. It's always awesome to see you.
You too. Thank you guys for having me on.
It's